Alright everybody, you know the rules for this channel. Almost everything I do is before the year 2000, and this one barely made it in. Let's hit it. Okay, today we're taking a look back at a quirky little gem from 1999, the BOONDOCK Saints. Oh yeah, you remember it, it's cool, it's awesome, we're going to look into it. But before we go any further, as always, to the trailer.
Streets of Boston.
This was no gangland assassination. It was way too sloppy. Something went wrong here.
An FBI agent is on a case.
All the lowlifes in the quiet city of Boston start dropping dead, and you think it's unrelated.
They're all bad guys. Now they're all dead bad guys.
The victims are the mob.
What we have here, gentlemen, is the beginning of the first international mob war.
And the hitmen think they're on a mission from God.
Anybody you think is evil? Do you think that's a little weird, a little psycho?
Sort of like 7-Eleven. We're not always doing business, but we're always open.
That is nicely put. It was two shooters. Fantastic.
This guy's very sharp. He hasn't figured us out yet. He will.
All we know is what we found out from the neighbors. And the general consensus is they're angels.
In a place where the violent have the power.
Destroy all that which is evil, so that which is good may flourish.
One lawman doesn't know whether to catch the killers
I believe what they do is necessary.
or join them.
All the things I wish I could do, these guys are doing.
With every breath, we shall hunt them down. Each day, we will spill their blood.
There was a firefight!
The BOONDOCK Saints.
Okay, this thing was written by Duffy. Now, he wrote this, he did the sequel, he did another thing called Luminous, and he had some other writing credits, but as far as a director, he really didn't do that much, and this is really kind of like his claim to fame. And a good claim to fame it is. The second one, yeah, other stuff, but he'll always have the BOONDOCK Saints, and we all love it, and we all know it. So, before we go any further, to the cast. Okay, playing FBI agent Paul Smecker was Willem Dafoe. Come on, dudes, Willem Dafoe is Willem Dafoe. He's been around forever. You remember when he started popping up early back in the days, doing like little scenes and like, you know, like whether it was in The Hunger or something like that, and his career has just taken off since then. But anyway, before we go any further, let's look at what he's done. We're talking about Platoon. We're talking about To Live and Die in L.A. We're talking about The Last Temptation of Christ, Wild at Heart, White Sands, Mississippi Burning, Spider-Man, Once a Time in Mexico, crazy little flick called Eggs Extends, and of course Streets of Fire, which is one of my all-time faves, and I'm going to be reviewing on this channel sooner or later or sooner, whatever. But Willem Dafoe, completely awesome, great in everything he does, and this, I mean, he really went out there. He really went out there. Okay, playing Connor MacManus was Patrick Flanery. Now, Patrick Flanery, he actually really kind of took off on television to a degree. He was playing in The Young Adventures of Indiana Jones. And then he went on to be in the movie Powder, but he's been in a bunch of other stuff. He's been in stuff like, you know, Frank and Jesse, Suicide Kings, Demon Hunter, The Insatiable. He's been on TV and stuff like, you know, The Dead Zone and The Bay. He was even on like The Young and the Restless and, you know, whatever. But career in movies, career in TV, done what he did, doing fine, let's keep going. Okay, playing Murphy MacManus was Norman Reedus. Now, Norman Reedus, hey man, he is proof to every guy out there that if you want to appeal to women, go through your life, then all of a sudden just stop looking like you're, you know, washing your hair and caring all about yourself, and chicks will dig the shit out of you. But he's also been in a lot of flicks. You know, he's been around a bit. He's not just this, and he's not just what I'm going to tell you in a minute, but he was in stuff like Mimic. He was in 8mm. He was in Tough Luck and Pandorum and 999. But yes, we all know he's always going to be the most famous now and forever as being Daryl Dixon in The Walking Dead, where he became a heartthrob to millions of chicks because he looked like a goddamn homeless dude or something like that. But whatever. Okay, playing El Duce with Billy Connolly. Now, Billy Connolly's been around for a long time, man. He's been in a lot of stuff, a lot of TV work, anyway. But he's been in things like The Return of the Musketeers, The Debt Collector, White Olander, The Man Who Sued God, The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies. But he did a lot of TV work. We're talking The Kenny Everett Show, Head of the Class, a show called Billy. So, around a while, you know his face, you see him, you're like, oh, yeah, I know that dude, whatever. But he does a great job in this. Okay, I'm playing Rocco. Was David Della Rocco. How he doesn't have a bigger career, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. He's not in much. He's in a thing called Jake's Corner, and a thing called Black Dove, and a thing called Dead in Five Heartbeats. I don't know how this guy does not have a bigger career. But we'll get into that. Okay, the story is kind of crazy and kind of simple. It's a story about these two brothers who wind up accidentally one night, because of a fight in a bar, they wind up knocking off and killing a couple of Russian mobsters. They're basically hailed as heroes amongst their neighborhood and the police even. Actually, everybody just thinks they're kind of a wonderful couple of boys. But all of a sudden they get this idea, this calling from God, this vision, that they should go around killing lowlifes. And as such, they do. And then they wind up teaming up with their friend Rocco. Rocco's like an errand boy, like a gopher for the Russian mob. You know what I mean? Drives them here, takes them there, that kind of crap. But he knows their movements. He knows everywhere they are. He knows what they does. He knows who's done the worst things. And he starts telling the MacManus brothers. And the three of them together start going out and just whacking mobsters. Along the way, you have an FBI agent coming in trying to solve things, Willem Dafoe. And he is like this weird, strange, over-the-top character, but he can see things in his head as they happened, even though he wasn't there. Later on, you get the El Duce, and I'm not going to tell you what happens with his character because it's kind of a twist or whatever. But take it for what it is. It's a good character. It comes in, adds some excitement, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. But that's the story. Two brothers and a friend decided to start whacking off Russian mobsters. Did that come out weird? And then you got this flamboyant FBI agent trying to track them down, who maybe at one point starts to see their line of thinking? I don't know, maybe that's giving away too much. Anyway, let's get to the summation of this flick and why this shit is the shit. Okay, the Boondock Saints. Let's get into it. This is not the kind of motion picture that you take as a literal transition of real life. It's not. It's a fantasy flick. It's an over-the-top, crazy fantasy flick. The way it's shot, it's very much an art house flick. I mean, the jump backwards in time to fill in the gaps of the scene that you just walked into. This Tarantino-esque type of vibe that it has going on. The idea of when you see some of the scenes playing out, you actually get to see Willem Dafoe's character integrate himself into the memory of it. And it's just stylized and it's just artistic, but it just works. This movie is never meant to be literal. It's never meant to be realistic. It's never meant to be down to earth. It's just meant to be interesting and entertaining. And on those two things, it knocks it out the park. And let's be real. Willem Dafoe goes so far out over the top. It's like the director just took all the chains off of this guy and said, whatever the fuck you want to do, go ape shit crazy. And man, he went there. But I'll tell you now, every second he's on the screen, you can't stop watching the dude. You're like, this is fucking crazy. The one scene when he comes out of the house and he's freaking out because he can't figure anything out is so over the top and amazing. You're just like, man, they just cut this guy loose. They just went nuts, and they just said, do whatever makes you feel right. And oh boy, did he did. Now, another unsung hero of this movie, who I kind of mentioned earlier, was David Bella Rocca. I mean, he is so good in this movie. The Rocco character and the Smecker character really make this motion picture. With no disrespect to the MacManus characters and all that kind of shit, no Ducci. Those two guys take this movie that could have been a little bit like here and they blast it right up into the stratosphere with their performances. I mean, the Rocco character is so crazy and so over the top and so energetic and just so pumped up. It makes the movie more like that. And Willem Dafoe is just so unleashed. It just takes the movie to places you never think it would go. So those two characters, if they weren't in this movie, if they were played as straight as everybody else in this flick, this movie would have been a fucking dud. But those two characters lifted this movie and pulled everybody else up around it and turned it into the little crazy, oddball, weird, strange fucking masterpiece this thing turned out to be. If you haven't seen it, you gotta see it. If you don't got the opportunity to see it, go buy the fucking thing because you won't mind spending the $7 on the DVD. I'm telling you, check this movie out. Fun little gem. Sometimes forgotten, sometimes lost in the end of history because the sequel was not nearly up to the original and got way dumber. Anyway, Boondock Saints. Worth a look, worth the time, fun, made it in under my 2000 cutoff year, 1999. Check it out, enjoy it, love it, have a good time. Peace. Be good, everybody. Bye.